So what are the real differences between a COSTA and a BFL? Stay tuned, it's coming up. Alrighty, y'all, Lou here from Beyond the Bounds. This is channel geared towards bass fishing, gear reviews, tournament footage. So if you like that sort of thing, click that subscribe button down below. Let's get into today's topic, which is talking about the differences between a BFL and a COSTA. So I hope you're really enjoying this series about being a co-angler and the different things that I'm showing, whether it be, you know, the bad experiences that I've had and the good experiences that I've had. For me, being a co-angler has been a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to stepping up to the front of the boat this year. And I learned a ton. But you know, that's one of those questions that really gets asked a lot is, you know, how do I know which tournament trail is right for me? You know, on one hand, you've got the COSTA, and on the other hand, you've got the BFL, which the BFL is actually sponsored by Phoenix Boats this year. And you know, that's a significant decision because we're talking about a lot of money. We're talking about, for a co-angler, you're making the jump from paying $100 to $550. Actually, this last year, I paid $650. The boaters on both of those sides pay different prices as well. So the boater on a BFL will pay $200, while the boater on a COSTA will pay $1,700. And I think that matters because, you know, you'll get all kinds of people who will sign up for these things. Sometimes it'll be people with, you know, plenty of money. Even $1,700 isn't a lot of money to them. That's a lot of money to me. I'm sure it's a lot of money to you. But you know, to some people, it's just not. That's just the way the world works. Some people, $200 as a, you know, signing up as a boater is a lot of money too. Just know that going in, that, you know, they've paid a lot of money to be there. But you know, don't also let that be a blank check for them to just do whatever they want, totally forget you and ignore you and put you in bad positions all day long, because you have paid for the right to be there as well. So I'm going to jump over to a video of me and my buddy Ken fishing on the water down at Sam Rayburn, talking about this exact topic. If you haven't checked out his channel, it's Ken Smith Fishing, kensmithfishing.com. And one of the things you said to me in your videos was, once you're ready, you have to be able to dedicate that time. And here previously, I've not been ready to dedicate that time to like a BFL.
It's all about practice time.
Exactly.
So I'm curious, I've never thought about this. As fishing out of the back of the boat, did you see a big difference between BFL pros and COSTA pros?
You know, this is something I've thought about doing a video on solely myself, because no.
but most of the time, I fish both, right? Until this year when I got mad at FLW and didn't fish COSTAs, I fished both. So you think, generally speaking, it's the same group of guys, same level of guys? It's just the difference between writing a $400 or $300 entry fee and a $1,900 entry fee.
I've stood in line at weigh-ins and had other co-anglers be like, this guy was fishing for smallmouth in a foot of water, you know, on Champlain, and had no clue what he was doing.
And you said at COSTAs?
At a COSTA. Yeah. And I've seen that. I've seen people with money come in, pay, you know, what was it, dang near $2,000, and not have that experience level. And no way am I saying I'm you know, God's gift of fishing by any means. You know, I'm just a guy who loves fishing competitions and wants to get better at fishing.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, I gave myself that 2 years of being like, no, I'm gonna put myself in a co-angler's position, which quite often sucks. It just sucks. Sucks being a co-angler, because you're like, man, that laydown looks great. If I could just throw into it, and your guy's gonna power pole down and he's gonna hit that, and then he's gonna move fast to the next one. That's his prerogative. That's what he needs to do. You can't fault a guy for doing that.
Well, and so that's an interesting point. I think there's an ego thing for some guys that, how do you say that are gonna want to fish the front of the boat, even though they're gonna get their head smashed in most of the time. I mean, look, in a one-day tournament, usually not in a multi-day tournament, in a one-day tournament, anybody can win, right? I mean, at Rayburn, at Thousand Islands, at Champlain, at Bob Sandlin, anybody can win a one day. But there's got to be a point when you start looking at yourself and realizing that, well, here's the difference for me. When I quit quit trying to compete for a check and started trying to compete to win, there's a whole different mindset.
But you know, we were kind of talking about the level of tour, you know, whether I saw a difference between BFL and COSTA, and you know, as a co-angler, it's always going to be a crapshoot. You're just never going to know who you're going to get paired with. You could literally be with the guy who wins, and that's how I was at the last COSTA. You could be with, you know, the guy who's got a lot of money and just wanted to do a tournament and, you know, has no clue. Didn't put that much time into it.
Or does not yet have the skill set, or may never have the skill set to go out and find fish.
Yeah.
Right? So you said basically same level pro, same level boater. I guess we got to be careful calling people pros. But same level boaters in the COSTA versus the BFLs. And I think to some degree even on the tour this year. I mean, there were a lot of guys on the tour this year that just, in my opinion, and it's my opinion alone, probably shouldn't have been there yet. They got a sponsor deal to get up there, and you can look at the results. If you didn't finish in the top, you know, well, if you didn't get a check this year, probably wrong place to be. But
I think a key difference is that I ran it over a log. Normally, when somebody's going to pay that level of money, they're going to be at least truly serious about it. So you're going to have less times you're probably going to run into the guy who's just, you know, doing some rando tournament and just like, okay, I'm just going to throw my money in this $2,000 tournament, because the guys who are doing those tournaments understand that it's probably about a $5,000 trip.
And plus you're away from work.
You're away from work, you're away from wife, kids, you've got the gas for running all week. You got your hotel, lodging, you know, it equates to about a $5,000 trip, give or take, depending on how you're doing it, you know, food, all that kind of stuff. And people who are going to spend that money are going to be more serious about it. They'll probably have spent more time doing it than someone in a BFL who may come up and try to get 2 days of practice, 2 days of looking at the water, and then giving it a go. Yeah. So you're probably going to have somebody who's at least serious about it in a COSTA.
Well, and so in my opinion, and this is why I didn't start fishing COSTAs till 4 or 5 years ago. If I can't be there the entire week, and ideally before that, but I've never gotten to practice more than Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, except here at Rayburn. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be there. You should. You're gonna get, unless it's your home lake and it's Grand Lake and you're gonna be able to run a milk run, you're gonna get your brains beat out pretty much every time. So
pretty much.
Let's pull over here out of the wind. I want to ask you some more questions.
All right. Now I kind of want to speak about some of my own experiences being a co-angler in these different trails, in these different levels of competitions. First, I want to start off on my very first COSTA ever was on the Big O down in Okeechobee earlier this year, February. A cold front blew in and I got to experience the true Florida strain, lockjaw. Man, it was a tough tournament, guys. I mean, just not only that, but the things that they've been doing to Lake Okeechobee with the killing of the grass, lowering the water. I mean, it was just one of those to where it was tough fishing. And it was tough fishing on everybody. Let me tell you, this is not like, oh, you know, there were still people, you know, rolling in with numerous 20-pound stringers. No, I'm talking like a 3-day tournament, and it was like 40-something pounds that won it, I think. For a 3-day tournament on Okeechobee, that's something that should be in the 75-pound range. But you know what? That gave me my first impression of fishing a COSTA event because I saw how hard it can be. One thing really stuck out with me during this event, and that was on the second day, my boater went directly to the exact same, I'm talking the exact same reed patch that I had checked in practice on my first day. And that right there, when I say that, it sat with me, it sat with me good in a way, right? Because I'm sitting here like thinking, okay, here's a guy at a COSTA level event and his thought pattern, the things that he's throwing, they're exactly what mine were, right? So you take those little wins of saying, you know what, this is good. You know, I'm on the right track. And in all honesty, guys, I didn't intend on doing any of these coastas this year. My plan was for this year was really to take my own boat, go practice before some of the BFLs for several days, and then switch over to be a co-angler during that event. That way I'd had my practice, and then I would have been able to see, okay, this is kind of what this guy did during that time as well. But luckily, you know, I got an invite. I got an invite to go practice with somebody during all these events. I jumped at it, skipped out on ICAST, and headed north. You know, headed north to some of these northern lakes that I didn't get a lot of time to practice on. And let me tell you guys, that truly helped me out a ton. And what I learned was there's definitely a difference in caliber of competitor, because what you'll have is you'll have people who will sign up for BFLs, they'll go there, they'll practice for a few days and then go into the tournament. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what the BFL is designed for. It's designed for everyday people like you and me to be able to go compete in a tournament, have fun, you know, gamble for some little cash, fish different bodies of water, and again, just really have fun and kind of be a gateway into that next level of competition. But when you step up to the Costa level, what you end up having is a level of competitor who is, you know, more concerned with winning, who is absolutely more concerned with winning than the BFL guys, because there's more money invested in that. That doesn't mean that they should completely negate you and essentially front end you all day long. That does not absolutely does not give anybody the right to do that to their co-angler. But what I saw was that, you know, you had these guys who are now practicing for more than just, you know, a few days before the tournament. You had people spending an entire week, some people spending 2 weeks in front of some of these tournaments. So, you know, they put more time and effort into it. And that's where the difference, another difference comes into play too, because this is where I saw kind of co-anglers flying in the night before, calling up the boaters and being like, hey man, give me all the information and everything that you've worked so hard for, and you know, so I can go out there and catch fish right behind you. No, it's not gonna happen that way. You know, they're gonna be a little bit more restrictive with the information that they are going to give you. You know, you might ask them, hey, you know, what are we gonna be doing tomorrow? And they might be like, we might be, you know, flipping here, where are we going? That's probably a game day decision, bud. I don't really know, because they don't know who you're traveling with. They don't know where that information's going to go to. You know, if you say automatically and be like, man, I'm getting bit on 3/4 ounce drop shot weights because of where we're fishing and everything, and then they prepare exactly for that, they might miss fish because you catch fish. So again, you have to take into consideration the amount of time and preparation that they have put forth for this tournament. And that's why they might not be as willing as a boater in a BFL to give you that information. So the thing is how do you make that decision? How do you make the decision to say, I'm gonna go for the Costa and not the BFLs, or just the BFLs? Well, money is for the first one. You know, I've already gone over the costs. But two is, are you ready? Are you ready to go to that level? Do you think you could even compete at that level? You know, I learned a lot of things that definitely made me feel like, okay, you know, I think I could compete at this level. Doesn't mean I'm going to straight hop right up there to those. But you know what, like I said, seeing that one boater do this, go to that exact same reed patch, seeing how other boaters fish in the exact same areas that I practiced in, but just seeing how they changed things or cued in on things differently than what I was cueing in on during practice, say for like Thousand Islands. There were some pretty cool stuff that I learned there in the Costa that I had not learned in any of the previous BFLs that I'd fished up there. And again, I was lucky enough to fish with the guy who won that tournament. And on the second day, I was fishing with a guy who was dang near winning the tournament. So you know what? I knew I learned the right techniques, and I learned what I needed to learn up there in the Costa level competition. Whereas in the BFL competitions, you know, it was just like guys just trying to get limits and stuff versus guys trying to win. And I think therein lies the difference in those competitions. Is more so in the BFLs, you'll get guys who are just there to have fun. I'm not faulting those guys. I love doing tournaments. They're so much fun. That's why I do them. But you're going to have, you know, a larger field of guys who are just there trying to beat out their buddies who are also traveling with them, who've, you know, making this a fishing trip, which I love to do with every tournament, because I've always hated people saying like, oh, I got to make my money back or this trip ain't worth it. You know, no, if you're out there fishing, the trip was worth it. But at the Costa level, you've got guys who are, I mean, true headhunters. They're out there trying to win. They're cutthroats. They're trying to do whatever they can, any little thing to get a step up on the next guy. that's what they're there to do because they've invested a lot of money in it. They're trying to win. And then a lot of those guys are trying to get to that next level, which is the FLW Pro circuit. So guys, I hope this kind of helps you out. It gives you something to think about if you're considering the differences between a Costa and a BFL. Any comments, drop those down in the section below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Y'all have a good one.